Good day to my fellow panelists and welcome to all our distinguished members watching on YouTube. My name is Tabang George Mufugeng, and I'm currently completing a BCom Economics degree at the University of South Africa. And I'm also the current interim president of the UNISA Student Business Council. Today, we are here to discuss a very important matter, a matter of national importance, if I may say so. But before we actually start with the matter, I'd like to first start by thanking one of our sponsors, which is Area Dev. Area Dev is a tech company which specializes in app and web development. So if you have a big idea or you are a business looking to integrate online, you can simply just contact the guys at Area Dev and they'll help you do that. So going into today's matter, as I said, this matter is very important to the extent that it was even included in a policy document called the NDP, which is the National Development Plan, which states in it that the NDP aims to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality by 2030. To the plan, according to the plan, South Africa can realize these goals by drawing on energies of its people, growing an inclusive economy, building capabilities and enhancing the capacity of the state, and also promoting leadership and partnership throughout society. The document also identifies entrepreneurship as one of the key focus areas of achieving sustainable socio-economic development. And as a result, government is continuously engaging with all sectors to understand how they are contributing to the implementation of this document. So as it currently stands, it was reported previously that the unemployment rate amongst graduates is about 31%. And considering the size of our university, which is the University of South Africa, it would be fair to assume that we constitute a great deal of this number or percentage. So we then felt the deep sense of responsibility as the students of the University of South Africa, who are also entrepreneurs, to do something about this issue. And that's what led to the birth of the UNISA Student Business Council. Sorry about that. So as a result, we've put together a diverse group of panelists that are both innovators and entrepreneurs to maybe just get a sense of how they managed to get to be entrepreneurs or innovators whilst they are studying, and some of the challenges that they are currently facing as entrepreneurs, and possibly the support that they are getting from the institution whilst pursuing the entrepreneurship journey. So I'll briefly just introduce the panelists, and then after that, we'll get into the questions that we have for the panelists. So I'll just start with our first panelist, which is Mpho. How are you doing, Mpho?
Good, and you, Tabang?
I'm good. Can you briefly just introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, so my name is Mpho. I'm also a final year mechanical engineering student at the University of South Africa. And yeah, I was also one of the SEW finalists. Yeah, so I'm here as an entrepreneur and innovator, and I want to share some of the knowledge that I've acquired, and some of the info that I want to share with you guys. Yeah.
Okay. We'll later go into detail in terms of
your
journey
totally.
and so forth. For now we can move on to the next panelist, which is Tabo Mabena. How are you, Tabo?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
No, we're good, man. Can you briefly just introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, my name is Tabo Mabena. I'm currently a financial accounting student, and I am one of the awardees of the 2019 Innovation Challenge. So I'm basically here today to tell you about my entrepreneurship journey, the challenges that I had, and also what my wish into moving forward, how entrepreneurship should be interpreted within the institution.
Okay. No, thank you very much for joining us, Tabo. Like I say, we'll
Pleasure.
also get to detail in terms of your journey and and so forth. For now, we can move on to our next panelist, which is Sima. Sima, can you hear me, leadership?
Hear you.
Yes. Do you mind sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you
Um.
briefly introduce yourself, leadership?
All right. Now, my name is Mamkele Pani. Um. I'm the current outgoing chairperson of the UNISA Student SRC. I've been in that office for I think roughly 3 years now. The things happened, and in that space I was able to get a bit of information on how UNISA operates, the relationships that UNISA tries to build with the students. Remember, as the SRC, we are the liaison persons between the students and the university. So in some instances, including when it comes to issues of student support, entrepreneurship, and any project that to develop the students, who were directly involved. Oh yes, I'm going to be speaking
Okay.
based on that information.
Okay. And another thing, leadership, I see you didn't mention that you're also an entrepreneur in your own right.
Oh yes. Yeah, I'm a founder of a company that is doing it's in transport and logistics. We do deliveries. Currently doing well. I have under my pay run, I think 3 drivers now. So we're doing very well for a startup company. Yeah, thank
Progressive leadership. That's what we need. Like I said, we'll go into detail in terms of everyone's journey. So now I think we can go back to Mpo and then ask him a couple of questions regarding his entrepreneurial journey and how he got to win the SEW 2018. Hello, Mpo.
How are you again, Savan?
I'm well.
Uh,
Yeah. So let's go through the first question. So could you please share with us your story? How did you actually get to win the Student Entrepreneurship Week?
okay, Tavo, thank you for the platform. I think like you and Tavo and the other finalists that were there in the competition, I think what you're trying to do as a student, I think you're trying to improve the lives of either the students of the people around your community or the country as a whole, right? And so when the SEW came, like I was already working on some projects alone, and then like it was a nice platform as I saw it at the beginning, because like here it is, UNISA is offering like funding to help you like do your project to help the community to improve their lives and all, right? And so all I had to do was just to choose a project that was relevant to the competition and present it, right? So the presenting, I think it wasn't the hard part, because remember, like you and Tavo, right? Like remember, this is something that we're so passionate about, right? So we're always
Yeah.
ready for it when an opportunity comes through. So the only thing that I had to do was just go there, present it, just show my energy and why I want to do this, and yeah, how UNISA can help, and yeah, and I think it was just genuine. It was unprepared speech, and then yeah, and then I just happened to win it. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
after winning, so what were your expectations? of, let's say, after winning the entire competition?
Remember before, so before the competition, I didn't even know that UNISA has a program. It's so focused that it wants to develop the entrepreneurs at the institution, right? I wasn't aware of that. So I see the competition. I only knew about the money amid the competition, but during that we did register for an incubation after the program that would like allow the institution to train us so that we don't misuse the funds and all of that, so that they try to help us. They try to
Yeah,
help us yeah, stay away from the mistakes that we wouldn't have known. So after that, I didn't expect much, but after they told we registered, I expected a little bit of training. Honestly, I expected a little bit of
yeah.
like advice on what to do, on what not to do, and
Mm,
obviously we didn't receive any of that. Yeah, but
okay.
yeah, man. But as an entrepreneur, you can't give up, you can't stop just because they're not
Indeed.
helping you out. Yeah, so you still have to try to make things work on your own. But I have to say it's harder. I feel like UNISA can really help a lot. It has a lot of knowledge, and yeah, it
Yeah,
can really
yeah.
help a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, and there is like sufficient capacity to enable
It's
this culture of entrepreneurship to thrive at the institution.
that's what I was saying. That UNISA is a place of knowledge, right? So we almost have all the knowledge concentrated in this one place. So
Yeah,
we already have students who are just involved in developing that will be willing to help. I don't even think they will even require money to help us. I think
mm,
they can volunteer to help us out. Yeah,
yeah. So in
yeah,
terms of the product itself, or maybe the business that you presented, how far did you manage to take it? Are you still running it, or
yeah.
what happened to it?
Uh yo, it's so it got really bad. It got really bad.
Okay.
But all I can say is, so I finished the product. I finished the prototype. I tested it out, but it was gassy kind of testing. When you test the product, you also need finance. You kind of also still need SABS. You still need a lot of things. So I just tested. Everything was just was done so a little bit unprofessionally, but the prototype was finished and we tested that. But in terms of moving it ahead, it was a bit of a struggle. Yeah, and yeah, it was a huge struggle. Yeah, especially to get it into the market. Okay, Tabang seems to still be on mute. So I was just still talking about the experience that I had, having to put the product to the market, like how much of a challenge that was. And I honestly couldn't do it. I don't want to lie, and especially because one
Mm,
thing that I didn't know going in, you should never try to start a startup only a one person. Try to get at least two people on board. That way, you can be, the other person can be objective to your idea, because when it's your idea, it's hard to be objective about your ideas, and that's where you fail a lot, because you're not listening to logic. You always hopeful on things that are not there. You don't look at the information. Yeah, so that was my, yeah, that is where I failed a lot. Tabang. um Savang's not here, but I know my final question, what it was, and it was that was I able to build a product and take it to the intended consumer base? As I said before, I was able to build the product. I really had a lot of challenges taking it to the consumer base. I guess that's the reason why we're talking now about the training that the innovators that are gonna come after us are gonna need in order for them to pursue or successfully launch their product so that they can change their lives in a way that they want, because all they want to do, the innovators and the entrepreneurs, is to make the lives of the students and the people of the council much better than they are right now. Living in South Africa, especially when you get to varsity, you get to realize a lot of disproportionality of of livelihoods, right? So there's obviously economic inequality, and all we're trying to do is try to reduce that, try to make sure that everyone the standard of living is a bit better.
It's improved.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Is improved.
No,
Is improved. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
definitely improved. No, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, we need to kind of encourage each other as entrepreneurs or maybe innovators at the institution, because after all, it is our own future that is at stake, and if we don't take control of it, then we are destined for great failure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
No,
guess
I
we
also
can
just
dive.
wanted to say,
Yeah,
I think also what you guys are trying to do is also trying to pave a better way for the innovators and entrepreneurs that are gonna come after us, so that they have a better way.
definitely.
They have more chances of being successful. Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we can touch base again a bit later on when we have our
Yeah.
what's it called, round table,
Yeah.
of which I believe it's gonna be very steamy. Yeah, the panelists are very passionate about certain
Very,
matters,
very,
of,
very.
of which I think the audience will be happy to hear.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
We'll bring you on again when we
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
the panelist discussion, the round
No, no, I
table.
appreciate it, man. Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank
Sure,
you.
sure. Yeah.
So, ladies and gents, we just had our final panelist come on. We have Francis. I want to quickly bring him on just to so that we can give him a chance to briefly introduce himself before we actually start with the questioning regarding his journey and so forth. Let me add him on. Francis, how are you, man?
I'm good. Taban, how are you going? How's it going with
No,
everything?
no, we're good. I think we're just having a bit of hiccups with the networks. You know, these online things.
Sure.
So, Francis,
So
can you briefly just introduce yourself and maybe share just a bit on your journey and so forth before we actually start with your questions?
all right. So my name is Francis Kurt Mundia Njekwa. I'm a student at UNISA at the College of Engineering. So then, what happened is a quick story is that 2019, a year of great anticipation for many things. I participated in the Student Entrepreneur Week, SEW. So then that happened concurrently with the Innovation Challenge. So what ended up happening is that I went through the process. It was a rigorous thing, very competitive. I got to see that there's so much potential amongst our people, and the university accorded us that opportunity to showcase our ideas and initiatives. So fast forward, so I partook in the SEW, and I went through the selection process. So
Yeah.
it was several steps. You have to go through several things. UNISA offers guidance and mentorship of some degree for when you're getting there. And then from the
You managed to win.
SEW, yes, I came out second place. I'm still waiting for my certificate and 10,000 rand prize money, but God willing, it's coming. Then from there, the magical thing happened. See this? I don't know how visible it is, but the
Can
optics
you bring?
probably
Yeah,
don't.
bring it
All
a
right.
bit in the middle.
There.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I got to win the 8th annual UNISA Student Research and Innovation. So that's the innovation challenge. So everything worked out in my favor. Came out second place SCW, and innovation challenge. I was one of the 8 winners, and of which it moved me from the African continent to touch base a bit in Europe and America. So that was a great journey, which I will explore as we go. So I got that because of my innovation and my idea, which was for a device and methodology.
Don't say it. We'll get to that point. That's the juicy part. Now it's just that brief introduction. Yeah, we'll come back properly to you, and you'll tell us all about your ventures and how you actually managed to win. So this is just
All right.
for a brief introduction, so that the audience are aware of like who we have on the panelist and some of your achievements, like you just shared with us.
All right. No, thank you so much.
Okay. I think the next panelist that will start with the questioning for is Mr. Thabo Mabena. Let's quickly get him on. As he previously mentioned, Thabo is also a innovator, and he has that shiny award too, the one that Francis just showed us. But yeah, so Thabo, how did you manage to win the innovation challenge? What's the story behind it? Thabo? Okay. I think it's fine. I think we're having some technical difficulties when coming to Thabo. Let's just go directly to Francis, and then maybe let's get or is Thabo? Yeah, Thabo is back. Thabo, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I had a question for you. Like, how did you manage to kind of win the innovation challenge, and what's the story behind it?
Okay, thank you. I would like to start by saying, it's a tough act to follow up after our panelists, especially Mpo and Francis, moreover from Mpo, because he's the one that defeated me, in the 2018 SCW challenge.
So
He
we
got
have
first place,
we
and
have a
yeah,
bit
so
of rivalry here.
there's competition there. So yeah, I was also part of the 2018 ACW challenge, in which I got second place. Then Mpo was the one who championed the competition. Then coming to Francis, I was also part of the innovation challenge. And I also have that nice souvenir there. I didn't bring it myself today. But coming into my journey in the innovation challenge, after I was one of the awardees of the innovation challenge, I'd get questions often about how did you do it, and the assumption would be that this is like an overnight sensation, like you just entered the competition yesterday and then tomorrow you win. Then the follow-up questions will be like I want to enter this competition next year. Then I'm like, go ahead. Then they'll ask me, give me an idea, and I'm like, but if I have an idea for you, then I might as well enter again and win the competition myself. But what I want people to understand is,
Again.
I didn't start yesterday with entrepreneurship. In fact, my first when I started this innovation, it was back in 2016, and that was the first time that I entered my first competition. And even then, the first competition I entered, the feedback was that, your innovation lacks novel. And I didn't know what they meant about that, but I had two choices, to give up or improve this innovation that I have. And the immediate thing to do was to leave it a bit because of the discouragement that you get, from the judges, and they're not really aligned with your vision. So I just dusted myself off eventually, and then coming to 2017, I entered another competition. Although I didn't make it to the top 10 or anything, but I believe that's when I got structural criticism for me to move forward. And I went back and I worked on my innovation again until I came back in 2018. And I think that's when things started aligning and coming to light when I entered the SEW challenge, which I got, second place, and the recognition that I received from that, it was amazing, and the encouragement and, people wanting to help me, people encouraged me that, you have something, so when Mpo won, I was like, okay, the next year I'm going to the SEW again. Mpo won't be there, so I'm going to take it. So coming into now 2019, I don't really believe in coincidences, but how things happened, it was just amazing. Because I was at campus and I had a meeting because I'm also an accounting activist. So I had a meeting, but when I was, when I was in camp and I was just chilling, then one of the representatives from the DITTC, was sitting next to me, and she was asking me to memorize countries abroad. She mentioned like 5 countries, America, Brazil, France, China and stuff. So now as she's mentioning it, she's telling me, well, which other countries did I say you must memorize? So I told her those countries. Then she was like, yeah, we are here, to, for a competition. If you enter, you can go to one of those countries. And the immediate thing was, so I might have a chance to go to Brazil or America or France. So I just jumped into it. I was like, this is an opportunity to go abroad. I mean, why not? I have an innovation that I've been working on. I'm waiting for the SEW, but as I'm waiting, I can just, so, I was the first person actually to go into the Dragon's Den, and I presented my innovation there. So now what happened when I was done, I was just waiting in the other room, waiting for feedback, because immediately I just want to know, am I going to another country or what? So it was until the end of the day, I'm like, how, Kante, when are you announcing the winners? They said, no, man, this is a year-long program. I was so disappointed. So I had to go home. Then, I had hopes that, perhaps one day they'll call me back and I'll be part of the competition. So what happened from then is we got shortlisted to provincial. So they selected members in the province. Then we had a boot camp. The boot camp was amazing. We met fellow entrepreneurs. We got to know more about their innovation. That was the most difficult time for me, because I was owing school fees. I had to get this other job. I was working at night. So you can imagine, I'm going to the boot camp in the morning. At night, I'm going to work. Then, after that, I don't even go home to go home and take a shower. From work, I come back to the boot camp. So it took a lot of commitment for me, to get through just the boot camp. But there's a lot of things in which I had learned from the boot camp, which led me to be shortlisted to be a finalist in the innovation challenge. And one of the things was the business model canvas, in which was literally what I used to present in the final. And I mean, for me, it was just amazing for me to be one of the awardees. I didn't, expect it. And what happened in when they were announcing the winners, they were starting from the bottom up. And I was like, at least if they mention number 5, they number 4, I'll be fine, you know. And you can imagine when they're like, okay, third position, they mention someone and it's not you, like, okay, at least second place. Then second place, they still don't mention you. You're like, you know, it's over, you know. So I was even sitting right at the back because, like, no, you know, it's done. So at least I
Yeah.
can just, you know. But yeah, to my surprise, you know, I was called, you know, and it was amazing for me, you know, especially with the journey that I've been through. You know, I was talking to one of my friends because we used to go together to this competitions, and it was like, you know, it only makes sense that, you know, this time you win, because I mean, you
Yeah.
didn't start yesterday. This was a long journey, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm quite grateful that I'm here today, you know, to share my
Yeah.
journey, you know, and for people to understand that no, it's not something that started. I didn't just wake up in the morning and say, you know, I'm going to enter competition and win. You know, it takes
Yeah.
work, you know, it takes experience, you know, it takes structural criticism, you know,
Yeah.
but with perseverance, you know, you will find light at the end of the day.
That's 100% true. 100% true. I can't agree with you any further on that one. So, if I may ask, so how far have you managed to come in terms of the product or maybe solution that you were pitching or proposing when you won the competition?
Okay, so now we are at the I'm at the prototype stage, you know, testing. We're just waiting for confirmation to actually launch the product to be available to the public. So what is happening now is that I am selecting a few participants to actually go through the platform, you know, criticize it, you know, testing the user friendliness of the product, and so forth. So because previously we used to work with Microsoft and Windows Phone, you know, the integration to now iOS and Android is a bit of a challenge, considering that you need data analysts, you know, and not just only software developers, you know, and technicians, engineers, and so forth. So that has been a challenge, you know, acquiring that, you know, human resource to bring, you know, my innovation to its, you know, fruition.
Yeah, and I go back to the words that one word you mentioned, perseverance. So with that, there's nothing that can't work as long as you're persistent in whatever you want, or and work hard at it. Like you are a proof of that. You've been
Yeah,
through this journey since 2016, and if you do the same thing, I don't see a reason why you would not succeed.
yeah, no, that's true, because, you know, all along, especially when I started, you know, no recognition was given, you know, not even that, you know, some people will tell you that, you know, in this competition, this is not what we are looking for, but you have
Mm,
something and keep on working on it. So not even that. So at some point I could have been like, man, you know, this thing is not working. I must just, you know, focus on other things, you know. But,
yeah.
you know, I believed in it so much that I just had to
Mm,
work on it even more. So I made sure that whatever criticism I get, you know, from every competition, I go back, you know, I analyze it, I improve my product, and then I go back. So I think with every competition, I just got back even stronger and stronger and stronger, until, you know, my idea was very solid for, you know, the innovation challenge to approve me and make me one of the awardees of the innovation challenge.
okay. No, thank you very much, Tabo, for sharing with us, man. And I think we'll speak more on other matters that you also are passionate about, or maybe you'd like to voice when we have our round table. I think for now we can move on to our second last panelist, which would be Francis, and then we'll bring you on, all of you on after we are done with our last panelist.
No problem. Thank you very much, Tawan.
Okay, Francis,
All
you're back
right.
now.
Okay.
So the first question I have for you is, so how did you manage to kind of win both the SEW and the Innovation Challenge? Because the way you describe it, it sounds like it happened simultaneously. You were this side and that side, and then things just happened.
Well, one of the reasons is, which came later, was I heard your testimony. That gave me some inspiration. So you've been a previous winner, gave me, that inner fortitude that you get by seeing a real life winner. So that symbolism and representation. All right. So then, okay, so SEW and the Innovation Challenge, obviously they run at different stages, and they start, it's actually hard to tell which one starts first, but the Innovation Challenge takes the longer time. So they go through a process where they check nationally, and then filter it to several tiers and levels just nationally, until it gets to the point where they now bring those guys who represent regions and areas to now come to one congregation, and from there, like what Tabo was talking about, the boot camp and things like that emerge. So the university, to their credit, does a lot in doing all of that. So they've brought everyone together. They've gone to the four ends of the nation looking for innovative ideas, and they were basically interviewing us and asking us questions. So I almost didn't make it. I had to take time off at work, so I had to drive from Middelburg. I was working at one of the ESCOM mines there. Well, a mine supplying coal for ESCOM. So we were South 32. So we were, I had to drive very fast, well, within limits. And I got myself to UNISA just in time to be the second last person to accept. So I was the last when I got there. Then I managed to talk to the people and say, no, you need to give me an opportunity. They closed the doors, they did everything. Everything was closed. So I begged my case and I got in, and I presented. So it was good to hear that they said that I am the person they were waiting for. So I was like, wow, all right. So I presented my idea, and my idea, can I explore on that?
Yeah, briefly,
What
because
it
I
is.
see we're a bit over in terms of the time. Just briefly,
yes.
you can just explain it. Yeah.
All right. So my idea basically is intervention that eradicates the occurrence or growth or progression of water hyacinth in freshwater water courses, rivers, lakes, dams, and as you would know, South Africa is doesn't have a lot of water. Some places it's said that it's a semi-desert, or there's a lot of water scarcity. What happened in Cape Town was proof that water can actually go. So the intervention in this innovation basically is a global thing. At least it's viable in more than 50 countries around the world. So when I presented the idea, it was at the Innovation Challenge. The judges took us to the boot camp, and I'll use what Tabo was explaining, until we got to the point where the competition had reached to choosing the actual winners. But before that, I had to attend on the 28th of September. Yeah, it was my birthday. So I got to win. It was the week of my birthday, I think. Yeah. I got to win the SEW. I came out second because the judges explained that I didn't have a minimum viable product, which at that time wasn't a myth, but I was getting to know it. So minimum viable product I didn't have. The guy who won had a product, and they loved my idea, but I just didn't have it. So the problem was that I couldn't put together what I had because of the nature of what it was. So I came out second, and then I won. I was among the 8 winners in the Innovation Challenge. I thought I wasn't going to win also. It was very competitive. The judges were there. It was very grand and official. And that's the time that you got to see that, wow, you know, you got to have a sense of pride, and also responsibility and duty. So those things were, I think, echoing in all of us. And so we got to more than just winning. The guys who met, so what the competition also did was that it brought people of different backgrounds together, different levels in their life, different skills and different approaches to life together in one place. So then that created a coalition of ideas and intentions and aspirations. So when we sat together, from there I got a friendship that I think is long lasting, and will, you know, it will go on for a very long, good time. And all thanks to what the Innovation Challenge and SEW brought. This does not mean that there were no challenges. I would mention several things which could improve, but I am grateful that the university could bring such an initiative, at least to that degree that we get that recognition that a prize like this gives. So this gave a lot of, there was money, prize money as well. So there's prize money in the SEW.
The solution.
Yes, so support base and all of that, but I'll explore more about what kind of help I would have needed. But I am grateful, and I just hope that with added innovation. I think what we also need is innovation in the innovation, the way we do it. So we need to be innovative. Yes, in the process and the way we do it. So we have to be innovative about it. The times demand that, and resources and all of that demand that of us. So yeah, have I not offered clarity? Oh yeah, I did get.
I think
I got. I'm working. I'm in the final stages of getting my. I have to start with the patents because of the nature of the innovation. So you have to have your protections and the patenting and everything. I'm using, fortunately, the best patent attorney in the country by many standards. Well, Sasso and such clients work with her, the lady, and she's very good. So she's assisting me with that. And the pandemic was really, it came and put a foot in all of this. So there's been a bit of a pause, but that hasn't stopped the processes that are done in those spaces. So that's still going. And I managed to get a letter of investment intent from a company here, at least $500,000 starting off with that, but to progress to more than that. So I got all of that and agreement to forge a new company, even though I did begin my own company. My company is ECHOS. It stands for Earth, Climate, Human Occupations, and Environmental Solutions. And but now we're working together with another company here, which is invested in building entrepreneurs. So yeah, that's my case in a nutshell.
That's great news, man. That's great news. And for the viewers out there who are students at UNISA, you see, guys, it's possible. It's highly possible. Look at Francis. He's now speaking about a serious money and businesses being invested in and so forth. So, and he is also a UNISA student. Like, that's mind blowing. Like, someone who's going through the same curriculum you're probably going through is doing such great things, and you can also do it, by the way. You're not constrained by any means, but that's very inspirational, Francis. And I think with that, before we go like too deep in it, we can welcome our next panelist, and then we'll bring you all after this for the round table. So our next panelist is going to be Mr. Sima, the leadership, progressive leadership. And then we have a couple of questions for him, which we would like to ask regarding the ecosystem at the institution, particularly pertaining to entrepreneurs. So the first question is, are students allowed to run businesses on campus, by the way?
All right. Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, students are allowed, and so is anybody, in fact. There is no particular policy or arrangement that says that because you are a student of UNISA, you would be given preference if you wanted to do business with the university. However, the university distances itself from if you want to do business within the campus. For example, you see outside Sundayside campus, you'll see people selling books.
Yeah.
It's an institution of higher learning. If you go to other universities, you'll find that they have a fund sky within the institution. But you get to UNISA, they can't even take those people who are selling the prescribed textbooks of UNISA, put them inside, they sell the books from inside. The university does that because they've been pleading that they want to be able to enter inside, but they always deny them because the university says that in the event that that book of yours is short 3 pages, the student then comes to the university and then says, I bought a book here in the university, and now the book is short 3 pages. And then now the university must enter into something that is not its business.
Okay.
Yeah. You're still with me, no? Yeah. So anyway, this is the same even with the students who bake, for example, and then they want to go around selling what they bake. Remember,
so in that case, yeah. So in that case,
I can. Yeah. I think I've lost you. Okay. I think there's an issue with our audio. Can you hear me? Jay?
Can you hear me, leadership?
Yes, I can hear you, but I think that our audio is delayed.
Okay. Yeah, we had a bit of a network problem.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, just
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. The problem is definitely on your side. Yes. All right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, but
yeah,
together
you were still
now.
explaining. Yeah, you were still explaining.
Yes. So, for example, you have now students who bake, and then they want to sell whatever they are baking to other students who are studying within the campus. But even those students, they're not allowed to do it like that because the university also distances itself from a situation where a student is going to get food poisoning, for example, from whatever was fed to them. And then they're going to take it up with the university because they bought that within the institution. So, yeah, there's no policy that says, there's no policy that says that you can't. But if you want to do business informally with the university or through the university, you can do it. And there is no policy of which I think it should be the case, that says, especially for an institution that actually has a campus that deals strictly with the business aspect.
Yeah.
But there's no policy that then engages students or motivates students to say that come into business with the university. If you have studied a business course with UNISA, then UNISA can't kick you out. They should be the first ones to say that, okay, come, let's do business with you. But unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately. And I think it's something that we kind of need to advocate for because, like I mentioned at the start of this, that the current unemployment rate is very high, particularly when looking at graduates. And if we were to also look at the numbers, we have the most students. So this is a problem that touches us very deeply. And we should advocate for such changes. And another thing, I think also coming to the policy aspect of things, we should have policies that let's say guide entrepreneurs in terms of the safety element, or maybe the accountability part of whatever products that they choose to sell on campuses, so that they are able to kind of operate within the campus without causing any harm to the institution itself. And I think it's something that we can kind of work towards in terms of developing that framework of checking whatever is sold on campuses and ensuring that it doesn't reflect bad on the university. But I think it's a good start knowing that we are not prevented from having businesses on campus. So yeah, so the next question, which I think you kind of partially answered, is with regards to the business element of the university. So I'm aware that the university has a supply chain, and they have their own suppliers. Are students allowed to maybe form part of that supply chain? And if so, are there any provisions given to student entrepreneurs that maybe are starting, or maybe have businesses that can kind of fit whatever is needed within that supply chain?
Unfortunately, there are no provisions. When you do business with UNISA, you can enter into the supply chain, but you are just entering as a citizen, not as a student. You understand what I'm saying? So whether you're a student or not a student, you're going to be treated the same way. So yes, you can register formally to be on the supply chain. But also the other thing that I must bring to your attention is that UNISA is very political. This is why other things were not able to get them, because the space itself of UNISA is very political. And what contributes towards that is the fact that UNISA is very big. So if you're going, you'll have a campus in Limpopo, you'll have a campus in Western Cape, and they'll both be dealing doing bad deals, you understand? So everything has to be centralized and controlled here in Pretoria. So people who have business interests to do with in the campus of Limpopo, they can't. They have to come here, and when they get here, they then start fighting, because my interests are not here; they are in Limpopo. So now I get here, I'm being told here that no, we are the ones who are going to give you the person who's going to work. But I'm saying that no, but this is an issue of Limpopo.
Yeah,
give it to us as Limpopo. So there's always those things. Actually, unfortunately, even with government everywhere, especially when I'm going to be speaking about issues of tenders, you know, people want to eat. People want to eat. So when we challenge these things, it's also important that we take into consideration that we are going to have people who are going to say that they are supporting us, but deep down they know very well we are disturbing something. So they won't give us 100% full support. You understand? There are people who are currently only focused on doing business with UNISA. They create problems, and then they come with the solutions. So we need to be also aware of those things.
Yeah, but I think one thing, like I think someone once described the nature of UNISA by giving the analogy of an elephant, that it's like a big elephant. For it to move, like, it takes a lot of moving parts. So I think as firstly, as students and as young people, we need to kind of take control of our own future and not heavily depend on the institution itself. We need to kind of make our own moves on the ground and set our own frameworks of operation, and then the other things will come a bit later on. But yeah, I think it's very educational what you just shared, leadership, and I think this is some things that we need to know about operating in that kind of environment. Yeah, definitely we appreciate the input. So I think from here on we can then have our round table, and then bring all of the panelists to the stage, and we'll kind of have a discussion around whatever matter they feel is fit. And for the people watching, you guys are also free to send through your questions if you might have them to any member of the panelists, or yeah. So I see Francis wanted to share something for us there.
Probably at the end, if you if I could do that.
Is it too long?
It's not too long, but I think it would be fitting.
Okay. So yeah, guys, I heard that there's other matters that you'd also like to highlight within your respective journeys. I don't know who should I start with. Is Tabo ready? Is Mpo ready? Or
Francis Cornalita has a point that he wants to put forward. So
okay,
we're listening, Francis.
Feel free, Francis, and the panelists will also engage you on whatever input or maybe issue you'd like to highlight regarding your journey.
Okay, guys, I'd like to say that in this path that we're in life that we're living, it's important to have representation and to have support. So representation and support are very, very essential, and the symbolism that they carry. So right now, we are basically probably inspiring a couple of people out there. That's something which is very powerful. So UNISA, in as much as it availed this opportunity for us to have a platform and podium for us to showcase our ideas, we were also in a way representing something which the occasion itself doesn't say. But that's to say that there's some resurgence and rethinking, and even before the pandemic, that there's people who are trying to reimagine things differently. So we were given that platform, and on it, we were given a chance to speak to the world. So from South Africa, I got to travel to the US. And when we were there, a lot of people were very inspired. They were just like people from the motherland that come in here, and they've got great ideas. Stuff which has got, for me, in my case, which would impact the globe to some extent, and assist even in the fight against climate change and the current climate issues that we've got, and the resources. So Africa is replete with so many resources, raw materials and everything. There's a stat which says that there's so many young people on this continent, and there will be more even. We're 1.34 billion people, and it's expected that there will be more young people. One could see that and say that that's a good number to have amongst the raw materials. There's a large labor force. One could look at it that way. But then one could also say there's enough young people to inspire the world. We are faced with, here in Africa, we're faced with the most adversity. So, well, at least based on the stats. So the people who are faced with adversity surely should be the ones who see things firsthand and can take down what it is and can dream and think of solutions, interventions that can
towards
solving that. So it can't be true that Africa has got all these adversities around it, and yet, or difficulties. Difficulties actually present an opportunity for excellence. So then we have all of that, and yet we're not lifting it up. So South Africa, being the beacon on the continent, has a greater responsibility, to help shape the narrative across the globe.
Yeah,
that's the position that all of us are taking here, and that's the position up. It should be the main place where ideas are nurtured. It's got a wide range of disciplines, faculties, professions, and therefore we should be able, and the arms and the breadth and stretch and length of this university stretches across the continent. So that therefore that should mean that there must be it must be resourceful, because there's so many minds, there's so many facilities across different and a large expanse of not just land or geographic things, but also ideas and interaction with nature. So industry. So UNISA has got that ability to avail its machinery and infrastructure to us. UNISA obviously is a garment of this continent and the symbol of striving people who are determined, a coalition of minds and great ideas and dreams. Therefore, us who are at some point and still are ambassadors of this university need to show materially what it symbolizes, because a lot of people find hope in this university, and yet they need to be able to see it in us, in what we do, our endeavors. So they started the Innovation Challenge in the SEW, and there was a lot of, you win a prize like this, it lifts you up. It helps you. I wrote a book, this book in the pandemic, because I felt that I had to do something because it put a pause to my innovation. But I had to do something in the interim. So I was raising money so that I could also have extra money to deal with the added difficulties of the pandemic. So, but that's because I recognized that this institution is greater than just a place which is up on the hill there at Makondera.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
It is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can't agree with you on that one. In terms of the capacity.
Yeah, the university has to do a little bit more. Basically, it's got a field. It's planted the seeds. We cannot leave the seeds and the weeds to grow at the same time. So there needs to be that stewardship and caretakership that the university has been doing, but obviously there's a lot of room for improvement. We would just appeal, I met great people like Mr. Noma. He's like a father, and he sees the hope of Africa. He gave us a speech and showed us the demographics of where most innovation comes from. And it showed that it's mostly from the Western world and Asia, and not really significant from here. But that image touched my heart and helped me to strive to be one of the winners. I did win, but the real victory is not getting the award. The real victory is extracting from our collective selves something which is going to be working for the benefit of others and everyone. We have a great task ahead of us. We have a great job to do. By the mandate of the very existence of this institution, we have to push in that direction. So I'm grateful for what UNISA accorded me and us, and but I also recognize that in as much as the weight and everything is put on my shoulders to create a minimum viable product, the university can avail its professionals, its institutions, its laboratories. Some of my stuff is scientific. I would really need a laboratory where I could do that. I know that there's stuff like that at Florida.
So it goes back to that thing that you mentioned about the seed, that the seeds can't grow with weeds. So there needs to be some sort of process or maybe ecosystem around the growing of these seeds. So, and I think one thing that's also pivotal in maybe putting together that type of program is consultation with the people that are in those programs, because they're the ones that will kind of help maybe properly shape and these programs and maybe bring some sort of effectiveness to whatever program that's being introduced. I think that's something that is very important. It's very profound that you also were thinking about it. And yeah, I think this is just the start of the conversation. We definitely need to continue this conversation and find a way in which we can help shape that process going forward. And yeah, so anyone else, is there anyone else that would also like to share regarding that?
So there was a statement Francis made about how we should be innovative in our innovation, right? And I guess what I want to put across is that like we should always like remember like the end goal, right? The end goal is to improve the standard of living for people around us, for the people that we're trying to do this for. So meaning, with this in mind, I think it's important also as innovators and entrepreneurs that like we should be able to like to pivot at critical stages in the lifetime of our business. Meaning, if your startup like needs to pivot, so for it to be able to deliver that value to the end customer, I think you should really take that into consideration and really see if like everything is still relevant. Do you still have to carry your brick and mortar to the next life cycle, to the next year, or you need to put everything online? Things like that, I think it's very
Yeah.
important. And then let's say even if like say you had an idea for like what 20 years, right? If you have an idea for 20 years, chances are it might not even be relevant after like
Today, yeah.
today currently, right? So don't be too hung up on what you started with, but be hung up
Mm.
on the value that you can bring at the end. And if it means bringing in another solution that someone has and it works better, please try to do that. That way at least you are able to bring the value, although you might
Mm.
lose your love, your beloved baby, which is like your
Idea.
product or your business. Yeah, but at the end you're gonna deliver value. I think, yeah, I think we should just take that into consideration, because I think that
Yeah.
that is very important. Yeah.
And
Thank you
Tabo?
very much. I'd also like to add on to what my fellow speakers have said. So what I would like to mention is that innovation is, I think it's one of the most difficult journeys, because for one, you are
Mm.
bringing solutions that do not exist. So the business model does not really resonate with investors or institutions that need to incubate us. And I find that the distance between the idea and the implementation of the idea, they are too far apart, and we need to find ways and solutions to
Mm.
bridge the gap. What
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the conversations that I was having with Tabang backstage is that the difficult part in entrepreneurship, especially within the institution, is that every single department that we are dealing with, it seems as if they work sort of autonomously, and
Inside, yeah.
each department has its own CEO, its its own president, and stuff like that. So now you are endorsed by a certain department, but in order to shift to the next department, now you have to start your negotiations all over again. And as Francis was mentioning, that UNISA is a very huge institution, and it has the resources that we need as entrepreneurs. For one, the incubation process. With my biggest challenge is human resource, and this is
Mm.
something that UNISA has, but unfortunately the department that has endorsed me does not have direct access to the human capital that I need. And I think that is the
Mm.
biggest challenge that we are facing. So the idea that is there, we need to find ways in which we can also shorten the gap for the
Yeah.
implementation of those ideas. And I think through this platform and through the USBC, I think that are some of the things that we need to advocate for, and also bring hope
Indeed.
to the to fellow entrepreneurs, because when they look at us, they asking themselves, okay, you want this, but now where are you now?
What
So we
happened?
need
Yeah.
to be,
Yeah.
yes, we need to be that beacon of
Yeah.
hope, to say, if you're an entrepreneur in UNISA, there's light after this, there's
Mm.
celebration. Because one of the conversations that I also had with Francis backstage is that we were not celebrated enough in the fact that some of us were hoping for interviews, in the SABC on the news, not because of fame or anything, but that is like a pivotal channel to
Mm.
connect you to
Yeah.
your investors, and fellow collaborators. Because one of the challenges that I faced in Brazil is that, they want to business with South Africans, but the problem is we do not have enough resources as an individual. The power of collaboration, they do not want to, if they have like 100 million available, they don't want to, cut it into pieces so that this one gets, to do business with Brazil, and that one they want to give out the whole, 100 million. So if we collaborate and we get enough resources for us to, tap into that 100 million, then I think that would be something. So that's something that we should also look into, the power of collaboration. I think the world is ready to do business with Africa. If we do not have enough resources as an individual, then let's collaborate and see how we can move and tap and do business with the Western world.
Indeed, indeed. I think this is why I feel like it was important for us to have this, so that we get such information regarding the opportunities out there and possibly the potential that lies in our institution. And I think going forward, we definitely need to take drastic measures to ensure that we tap into such channels and so forth. I think there was a question that came in. Let me quickly have a look at it. So the question is, to all the panelists, what would you guys say is the most important attribute to maybe succeeding in your innovation or your business or maybe your entrepreneurial journey?
Can I just try to answer that? So for my bit of piece, right? As I said, I tried to cover the question. I was able to do the prototype, right? But one of the challenges when I started this whole project, like a portable washing machine, like I wanted to make it so affordable that like everyone in the Kasi can buy it, right? Like I wanted to make it so affordable, but at the end, when you're doing the numbers and everything, you start to realize, but like this is gonna cost me more to produce, and it's even gonna cost the producer more to buy it. So like now what do I do? Right? So and then I cannot force out a product and then market as a premium. I didn't want to do that, because at the end, because how I started to do this was just to make something affordable. So it was that thing when I said I had to pivot. I had to pivot, and that's when I realized, like, for me to be successful, sometimes you have to change your direction and actually like use like a better route that's gonna make the end user much more like add value and at a lesser cost. Yeah,
definitely. And can we get more input from, let's give Francis a chance.
Yeah.
All right. I would also like to say that this conversation would not exist if the seed was not planted in at least one of us here. So then it starts first of all with the vision. So someone has had the vision to bring everyone together and say, hang on a second, we've had all this given to us, all these opportunities and resources, but they almost amount to nothing if we do not have accountability and responsibility. So, and those are all engulfed and encompassed by duty. So there's not just duty from us as the people who were bestowed upon these accolades and things and prizes, but there's duty also on the people that bestowed those things on us. So we hold each other to account. It's a universal two-way entropy kind of relationship. So now, if we've got that, this would not exist if someone didn't think about it. So clearly, this is a message to the students, to the university, that we would love for a representative from among us, from out of the trenches, from someone who's been there, someone who's basically had to hustle and bustle, knock on doors, try out stuff. I mean, you were just talking about having a prototype and yet the market doesn't recognize it. the university has got the machinery, the muscle to assist you. A simple thing like Tabo was hinting about having an interview. If University of Pretoria, someone comes up with a small thing, they talk about it. It's on the news, it's everywhere, but they know why they're doing it. It's not only marketing the university, but it's showing that the university is conscious of the fact that innovation is critical. So innovation is actually the simple thing which is available to all of us, that it exists first in the mind. So then it's the biggest resource which is natural to all human beings. So then we have that as a natural resource, and it's great, it's a lot. We've got a lot of young people, but the curatorship, the guidance, and all those things needed. If Tabang, you know, and his associates did not pull through some of these things, I mean, this is a great a milestone. If this didn't happen, this conversation would not occur. So I'm grateful that this, first of all, has started, but I would be more happy if a guy like Tabang is at the seat with people who are shaping the narrative and creating the criteria. Because first of all, he's been through the process. He's been through the process of understanding what other people have been through. So that's an added layer. So probably is best suited to do that if you were to ask around, and has the heart for it. So then, whilst this is being said of you, Tabang, and I'm sorry, I'm being unfair to thrust this upon you just like that from out of the blue. But that's what comes from, if you're able to recognize the importance of having this. I think I'm also, I have the duty to recognize that in you, I find a sense of kin, someone who's actually seeing something that I'm seeing, experiencing something that I've experienced. So this is I hate to use the word tribe because on the continent that doesn't work well, but this is a very good family to belong to. So you are part of this family, but you're also assisting this family not only understand that it's got potential, it's got the equipment, machinery to do things in terms of just in the mind. The university needs to give us the physical tools that we can use. The funds are great, but the funds work if everyone connections. So I mean, let me just put it in perspective. I have a solution which works in 50 countries or more across this globe. And that could create jobs, a large number of jobs. Right now, we're going through a pandemic. We've got some massive backlash on the economic side of things. A lot of my friends have lost employment. A lot of people don't have things because of a natural occurrence or whatever we want to call this. But the real truth is that we have to deal with the reality imposed upon us. So then, speak of Tabo, his innovation currently would have assisted the university and many others across not just South Africa or SADC, across the continent or the third world, or if such terms are still allowed to be used. But across the developing countries, his innovation allows for social distancing to occur whilst information is still dispensed and provided, and people can still articulate and move forward in the direction that their dreams are inclined. So then we have that. So then what don't we have? We are missing one essential ingredient. Visibility. Visibility is not present. So then if everyone understood what Tabo had prior the pandemic, we would have really done it. And even just in the early days of the COVID, because it's 2019 that he won the thing, you would automatically say, hang on a second, there he is, he's got this thing, let's put it into action, including yours, Tabang, across the continent. We have things and we keep them. You see my library behind me. It's no good just being here. It would be great if there's visitors who can get to it. But then you've created a facility to facilitate that across a large, limitless expanse of land. and not just land, but ideologies and resources. So
Indeed.
you were trying to create something which is going to help our people to have good sanitation and to be able to have dignity because of that. And then the costs seem to be astronomical. But guess what? The university has got connections. They can get a proper developing company to look at your thing and say, let's tweak it a little bit because the idea is great. So then the worst thing to ever happen to an innovator is for their idea to be misunderstood and for it to die. Meanwhile, it has so much potential. So then for you to think that it's a high cost, you're only saying that because you're only presented with people who give limited, small resources. The university can take us to those levels. We were meant to be showcased to Adams and Adams. I don't know what happened to that, but that would have been a great opportunity for them to see that there is real solutions. So for those who study at UNISA, now I'm zooming into to the listeners, to the student out there. I'd like to believe this, that you have the potential and ability to create something new. So we are here because of just something which started in the head. So we are here at this point, but we are going to move and strive and endeavor and move forward. With the help of guys like Tabang, we know that this message is going to reach thousands upon thousands, and that it will translate into something material, it translates into something engaging and moving. So the main objective is that whilst we are students, we've also learned quite a few things, and now we are teachers. We are given a lesson, and we are grateful that we've got this platform. So the university needs to really identify what it's got.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's very important to like Tabo. I think Tabo was the one that mentioned the whole structure of the university. There is, in some departments, there is will to help like innovators and entrepreneurship, but because of the overall structure, you might find that this specific aspect of, let's say, Tabo's innovation needs a certain department. He needs to start now from scratch, and if that department does not approve of whatever he's doing, then it causes some sort of a threat to what he's doing. So I think we need to kind of address, or maybe find a way of dealing within these structures. So just to continue with that last question, and I must just highlight the time aspect. We're actually over the time that we initially had. We are actually over the time that we have initially planned. So I would like us to, if possible, maybe wrap up the conversation so that we can close. I know it's sad to end. This won't be the last conversation we have, but in terms of time, we need to close at some point. So just to continue with the last question, we have two panelists that can provide maybe their input on the question. Can we hear the leadership to maybe give his input on the question that was asked? We can't hear you, leader.
All right, now I'm going to step in just because we can't hear, so we'll use the time.
Okay, Francis.
You are aware that I'd love to read the statesman's former President Thabo Mbeki's "I am an African."
As long as can I hold you there? We'll close with that statement as long as it's not too long. I just want to wrap up the last question. We need to hear the leadership's input
and
Tabo's input too, and then we'll get to you and then close. Is that okay?
Oh, that's great.
Okay. Yes, leadership.
I think Tabo should speak in the meantime.
Okay, I think he's having some audio problems.
Okay, I'll just step in until leadership
Sure.
finds, So the question was
Yeah.
the most important attribute as an
Okay,
entrepreneur.
I think he's having some audio problems. I think we can forward the question to Tabo in the meantime, so that we can
Okay.
wrap up.
Yeah. Tabo, so
Okay.
please carry on. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Tabang. So I think for me, the most important attribute will be, as I mentioned earlier, the perseverance that I had.
Yeah, I think
Because
network problems. But
so as I was saying, when I started my first page, I had two choices: to give up, or to continue with my innovation. And I think through perseverance, I told myself that, you know what, they might not see what I'm trying to achieve now, but someday, they will get to understand what changes am I trying to accomplish within my community. So I think that for me was important. And as an entrepreneur, I think in order for me to be successful, I had to believe in my innovation so much, rather than believing in the criticism of my fellow judges, panelists, and everyone around me. So
Yeah.
I mean, if I had listened to the judges at my first page, the normal thing was to just give up, because they said no, this innovation lacks novel.
Yeah.
I could have just said, okay, fine, this is not for me, and moved on. But I had to believe in my vision so much that nothing and no criticism could deter me. And looking back now, I do not have many regrets. I just have expectations for the future that, someday, the departments that we are trying to achieve business with will finally recognize us. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
leadership,
Thank you, Tabo.
are you available now?
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks. We can't hear you.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, we hear you now. We hear you.
Then I won't be able to hear you because I had to remove the earphones now. Okay, no, but fine. I'm the one who was supposed to be speaking anyway. So, you see, one of the most important things that you should never forget is that a business is not about yourself.
Hmm.
You see, I had an opportunity to start a business, and when I started that business, I worked alone. You know that I now ride a bike. I had to learn how to ride a bike within a day. The following day, the opportunity was kicking in, and the bike had to be used. I taught myself that. I committed myself into it, even with all the other roles and other things that I'm busy with. I took the time, I studied the business. But now, in the growing part of the business, you need people who are going to assist you in running that business. I have a business now that is running itself. That is why I can still come and attend this meeting. The business is not affected. And yet, there must still be movement happening. The business must still be in operation, you understand? But when people that you bring in share the same interests with you, that is what is most important. You will never go wrong, because you know very well that these people understand this. This means to them as much as it means to you.
To you, yeah.
And also, it is contributing, because there's no one individual who must depend on another individual. Everyone must go out there. Now that they've studied it, let the other person also grow. They must do the same thing that I'm doing. You understand exactly how I'm doing it. I'm not hiding it. I'm not hiding it from you. You are running it with me. When you now have the capacity to do it yourself, because I have other people who are going to see me doing this thing, and then they're going to do it with or without my help. So why not help the person that is close to you? Help the one who's close to you, and empower them, assist them. When they leave you, that space that they left, you are putting in another person. So I want to put in that one of the most important things is that we should. I know most young people, when you speak business, they think profit, and that is not what business should be about. Fortunately for me, I also happen to be a leader. I'm a person who has always been thinking of others. That is why I assumed the position of leadership. I'm always concerned about the well-being of others. So we should never. I know some of your ideas. I was listening. Some of your businesses, they're very proper. You could make something out of. You could build something very powerful with your ideas. But in that process of building whatever machine you'll be building, don't get into a trap of thinking that that machine is permanent. Groom others, because there are ideas that come every day. You can decide today that you're making a chair that has wheels, and then another one is going to come tomorrow and make a chair that can fly. So you must keep at it. Keep at it. Understand that be innovative. Unfortunately, also just to touch on the issue of support, the university itself, I think we need to take a different direction. The university has got a department that only deals with business. We have a business school there in Midrand. We have it there. So when you speak support, where the first door you are supposed to knock at is at the business school.
Yeah.
The university has got alumni, people who can fund, because one of the things that young people struggle with is actually raising capital. We have alumni who are already owning certain businesses that we need to be introduced to.
Yeah.
You can be called to a competition by the university, but when they're calling you to that competition, the only thing they're going to give you is a certificate. Bring in the people who are most likely to buy my idea. Let them hear me make my presentation. Let them support me in making something out of it. You understand? So I'm hoping that as you continue with this conversation, we're also going to be. It's been a project of mine already, even when it comes to academics and professionalism, that we need to reconstruct even academic structures within the university, because we're losing out on other opportunities. While an institution of a capacity of, as of last year, were 378,000. Out of that 378,000, over 60,000 graduates. Those are alumni. We don't know which direction they are going. These are people that the alumni department and convocation are supposed to introduce us as young people to. Even those who want jobs, it cannot be that we have 60,000 alumni graduates, but then we don't know what happens to them after they've graduated. So that department that keeps track of those things is supposed to assist us and then that, oh, okay, so when you have an idea that can assist in a business similar to this, you know, we actually have a graduate who is Tabo. Tabo is doing a business like this. Talk to Tabo. Let the university hook me up with a person that can assist me. Yeah, I think let me close it there. I'm going to be micless as I'll put it back.
No, definitely leadership. This is why I say it's progressive leadership. You see, they look at all aspects.
Yeah,
not just one.
is.
But
yeah,
we can have Francis. Since we're already over time, we can have Francis kind of close for us with his profound speech or maybe words. Francis.
Okay. All right. Our greatest resources have never been what must be extracted from the ground, but what can be planted in the ground. Our agriculture potential is immeasurable. So we've got these resources that we can plant in the ground. So I will end where I started, and with the blessing of where these words come from and are headed. Like the Sankofa bird that looks behind and yet it takes strides forward. I shall invoke these words as I hope they shall create that future we all seek. So let me begin. I am an African. I owe my being to the hills and the valleys, the mountains and the glades, the rivers, the deserts, the trees, the flowers, the seas, and the ever-changing seasons that define the face of our native land. My body has frozen in our frosts and in our latter-day snows. It has thawed in the warmth of our sunshine and melted in the heat of the midday sun. The crack and the rumble of the summer thunders, lashed by startling lightning, have been a cause both of trembling and of hope. The fragrances of nature have been as pleasant to us as the sight of wild blooms of the citizens of the veldt. The dramatic shapes of the Drakensberg, the soil-colored waters of the Lekoa, and the sands of Khalahadi have all been panels of the set on the natural stage on which we act out the foolish deeds of the theater of our day. At times, and in fear, I have wondered whether I should concede an equal citizenship of our country to the leopard and the lion, the elephant and the springbok, the hyena, the black mamba, and the pestilential mosquito. A human presence among all these, a feature on the face of our native land, thus defined, I know that none dare challenge me when I say I am an African. I owe my being to the Khoi and the San, whose desolate souls haunt the great expanses of the beautiful Cape. They who fell victim to the most merciless genocide our native land has ever seen. They who were the first to lose their lives in the struggle to defend our freedom and independence, and they who, as a people, perished in the result. Today, as a country, we keep an audible silence about these ancestors of the generations that live, fearful to admit that horror of a former deed, seeking to obliterate our enemies, a cruel occurrence, which in its remembering should teach us not and never to be inhuman again. I am to find a new home on our native land. Whatever their own actions, they remain still part of me. In my veins courses the blood of the Malay slaves who came from the East. Their proud dignity informs my bearing, their culture a part of my essence. The stripes they bore on their bodies from the lash of the slave masters are a reminder embossed on my consciousness of what should not be done. I am the grandchild of the warrior men and women that Hintsa and Sekukune led, the patriots of Setswayo and Mpek took to the battle. The soldiers, Meshosho and Ngunyani, taught never to dishonor the cause of freedom. My mind and my knowledge of myself is formed by the victories that are the jewels in our African crown. The victories we earned from Isindwanal to Khartoum as Ethiopians and as the Ashanti of Ghana, as the Berbers of the desert. I am the grandchild who lays fresh flowers on the Boer graves at St. Helena and the Bahamas, who sees in the mind's eye and suffers the suffering of a simple peasant folk. Death, concentration camps destroyed, homestead, a dream in ruins. I am the child. I would like to say that the rest of the speech should resonate in all of us as I encourage you to find time to read it, because what follows is what we should all hold in our hearts dear. Because a great man wrote this for a great people. And I am glad that we've had this opportunity. And I'd like to just say that our greatest resource is not the ones that we extract from the ground, but the ones that we plant into the ground. So we have that as our duty. And I am grateful that Tabang is here to put all this together. But more than that, I would like to encourage anyone who's got love for innovation and who understands that it begins with an idea, that this too is an idea that Tabang has planted, and I pray that it shall precede its virtue, that it shall do great things for us. And I nominate you, Tabang, to be that person who will take that courage and fortitude and go and stand in our stead. Go there and represent us and showcase to the rest that we are ready. So the call was made. The call was made. It's always made. So please do us that honor, and I thank you.
Indeed, Francis. Thank you for the profound words. Like I say, this conversation will definitely continue. It's just now we a bit too over the time, and I'm sorry, but I need to kind of close the conversation here. But thank you guys. I'm very grateful to have you here, guys, and without you, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you to everyone that came through. There was a request from Mr. Mabena. I don't know. Is Mr. Mabena still available? Yes, Mr. Mabena, you'd like to share something before I close?
Yes, it is just a quote for the fellow upcoming entrepreneurs that are watching right now. So it was a quote that inspired me in one of the platforms that I did in the innovation challenge, and they said that the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those can learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I would like all people to take this quote to heart, because the illiterate are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tabo, for the words. We highly appreciate it. And like I said, we appreciate everyone's presence. And hopefully next time we could try keep the time. And to everyone that's still watching, thank you for staying up till this time. And hopefully next time when we have our event, you could maybe also offer your input via the comments, or maybe, who knows, you could be one of the panelists in the next session. But thank you for those who are looking to join, or who are looking to know any, like to require, or maybe want to know more about the UNISA Student Business Council. Please just fill in that RSVP form, and then we will then get in contact with you guys regarding the procedures and how we work and what we aim to achieve at our institution. And with that said, I think there were sufficient profound quotes that has been said. I'll be simple and just close it by thanking everyone for being here, and thanking you for your time, of which I highly value, and hope to see you next time again. Enjoy your weekend and stay safe.